Welcome back to a very wet Donington Park. Next up is the Mark II Golf GTI Championships. Well, we're here now with Jamie Martin. It's actually started hailing now, hasn't it? But I believe that you're a bit of a pro in the wet weather.
Well, I've done a bit of wet running. I did sort of cut my teeth at the Nürburgring, but in the wet anything can happen. I think it could be anyone's race. I know that a lot of the drivers in the back positions are certainly going to be having a go at us. We'll try and get away cleanly and have a clean race, but I think, by the looks of it, I think it could be a bit of a scrum. I think today's going to be very unpredictable, and I think it's going to come down to the people that judge the grip the best and make sure that they learn the wet lines around Donington.
Certainly will be slippery, as Jamie Martin said, and he lines up on pole position with Kevin Glover alongside him on the front row of the grid. Peter Milne well up in third, and Darren Bedford always quick from fourth, as is John Maudsley in fifth. Colin Hayes rounds out the top six.
It's race 2 of this weekend's lubricant consultancy Mark II Golf GTI Championships. We've got Martin on pole position. Close behind him is Glover, and third on the grid is Peter Milne. The weather is shocking. It's going to be a great race.
Certainly will be, Alexandra. So Andrew Aldridge starting from the very, very back of the grid. How will he get on? The red light's about to come on. Then we'll be racing here at Donington. Away we go. It's a good start from pole for Jamie Martin. Also well away from Kevin Glover. But what about this from Andrew Aldridge? He goes past about 7 cars before we arrive into Redgate for the first time. And it is going to be Jamie Martin, though, who turns into Redgate. The pole sitter converts that into the race lead. Everybody else squabbling behind. These conditions are absolutely abysmal. You can barely see the cars on the other side of the gravel trap as they kick up the spray down through Hollywood and into the Crane Curves. Already the leading duo breaking away from Darren Bedford, who is currently in third position, though coming under pressure a little bit from John Maudsley and Martin Walston. In fact, Maudsley looks to the inside into the old hairpin and claims third position. So John Maudsley goes third, Darren Bedford back down into fourth. Tiptoeing through is the rest of the field. Looking to have made a good start as well. It's the Class 1 leader Tim Cox in the white 26 car, who is currently mixing it with some of the Class 2 cars. They are the ones with the 16-valve engines as opposed to the Class 1 cars with the 8 valves. But at the head of the field, pulling away, is Jamie Martin. James Hallison is very much in the mix. He looks to the outside of Matt Weller. That's brave into Coppice. He tries around the outside. In fact, into McLean's that was. Now he accelerates on towards Coppice, and Hallison has made that move stick. Brave driving, but of course the wet lines that we heard Jamie Martin talk about earlier on, those in the wet weather is, if you look to the outside of the corner, that's where you only find a little bit more grip, as Tim Cox did then through Coppice and onto the Dunlop straight, and he is just ahead of Dan Gibbs. Leader is already through. The battle now ready for fourth place. Martin Walsh in the sky blue car just ahead of Darren Bedford. And a good scrap brewing up behind Colin Hayes, coming under a little bit of pressure from Simon Gustafson. Just behind him, Gustafson in the red number 9 car. Hallison and Weller continuing their scrap. James Hallison almost out on the curves. Matt Weller gives him racing room, just about holds on. How they avoided contact, I don't know. It's then the drag race down the start and finish straight and on towards Redgate Corner, where we've got the scrap between Colin Hayes and Darren Drury, who's now got to take his challenge onto the tail of Hayes. Through Hollywood they come. They're both onto the tail of Darren Bedford, then trying to break clear is Mark Reynolds in the 93 car. So it's Bedford in the blue and white machine, headlights on, peering through the Merc, who's coming under a little breath of pressure here from Colin Hayes, and Hayes looks the inside into the old hairpin. Is he going to squeeze through? It's going to be tight, but Hayes has got the inside line. Through he goes. Bedford runs wide out onto the curb, maybe misses a gear because the rest of them surge through. Gustafson is through, so is Darren Drury. So Drury in the 7 car, pressurising the 77 machine of Colin Hayes. It's the exit Schwantz curve, and then climb up the hill into McLean's. Very slippery corner, this one in dry conditions. Folklore has it, it's the fuel dropped from the planes as from nowhere comes Mark Reynolds. He has had an adventure. Proves what I was saying about the corner being slippery. In the urban rumour, it comes from the planes down to East Midlands Airport. Valentino Rossi blamed slippery conditions on the hot dog stands at the Download Music Festival when he had problems in the wet here at Donington. Don't think the drivers can quite blame that. It really is the conditions that are absolutely as difficult as they could be. Here is a great fight though for second in Class 1. Paul Cowland just on the tail of Alex Harris. Harris currently leading that scrap. Tim Cox, the class leader, pulling clear. As running a little bit wide there is Colin Hayes, and that's going to enable Darren Drury to challenge on the outside of Goddard's, but Drury may run out of Were Road. He does, out across the grass, kicks up the mud and the muck. James Halverson on the tail of Dan Gibbs, a little bit lower down the order as they stream through. There's the mud that was kicked up by Darren Drury. These cars still continuing to scrap despite the conditions. The drivers really enjoying themselves. Halverson looking to the inside of Gibbs into Redgate. That's going to be tight. He peeks his nose up the inside. He can't quite squeeze through, so Gibbs maintains place for the moment. Halverson so smooth on the steering wheel as well through Redgate. Just the one positive turn. Looks very busy from the outside. Inside the car, James Halverson utterly unhurried. Look at this, he's just totally relaxed behind the wheel. Really smooth driving from Halverson, which is the key to going well in these wet conditions. Turning through the old hairpin and accelerating on towards Schwantz. The rain lights from the cars peeking out in the Merck and Halverson at the back of that train of cars currently headed by Colin Hayes in the bright orange machine. He's rather acting as a beacon for the rest of them, isn't he? With Darren Drury having recovered from his grassy moment. Next up, and then Simon Gustafson, the rest of the field streaming through. Andrew Aldridge also making good progress. He's got Matt Weller just on his tail. Ren Carr with Aldridge turning into Coppice. Slide from the car in front, and will Aldridge be able to capitalise on that as they accelerate onto the Donington straight? Don't think he's going to be quite close enough despite the sideways action. Aldridge not really carrying enough speed through. Breaking into Goddard's and sliding off and straight on Simon Gustafson. He's got the car stopped. Also running wide is Colin Hayes, who's going to rejoin behind Andrew Aldridge. So Hayes loses the place. Gustafson losing an enormous amount of ground as into the Merck and onto the start-finish straight they come. And they are four abreast in the most abysmal of conditions. Quite how they're able to keep in control, I don't know. These drivers certainly not lacking bravery. Who is going to be ahead of this group as they turn into Redgate Corner? It is just Matt Weller who's up ahead of Dan Gibbs, accelerating out of Hollywood down into the Crenna curves as Alex Harris moves into the leader Class 1 ahead of Tim Cox. Harris is nicknamed Bomber, don't need me to tell you that. Cox, let's fight it back as around the outside looks Dan Gibbs. He slides to the inside, he goes sideways across the curb. He's going to lose it, surely around he goes, he kicks up the muck. They all scatter either side as Gibbs goes round once, twice, thrice, finds a gear, rejoins. He's only lost about 4 places as a result of that. Unbelievable spin. Dan Gibbs regains his bearings as the fight for third and fourth really hots up. John Maudsley coming under pressure now from Martin Walsh. Jamie Martin continues to lead, he's well clear of Kevin Glover. They're just turning into Goddard's at the end of the straight as Walsh puts the pressure onto Maudsley, who has to defend to the inside. Martin Walsh looks to the outside in the bright blue machine. John Maudsley, though, should hold on to third, at least this time around, through Goddard's. The pair of them having, though, a very entertaining scrap. All the while it is enabling the leaders just to disappear off a little bit into the distance. The leader is already through. Jamie Martin's disappeared. Here's Kevin Glover in second place. This has been a very steady drive from Glover. Jamie Martin, who won yesterday's race, Kevin Glover was third. As what about the fight for Class 1 as well? Tim Cox has got back ahead of Alex Harris, but Harris has got Paul Cowland with him for company. So first, second and third in class, close as you like out of Goddard's. Accelerating onto Redgate as Maudsley's gone off. John Maudsley from third place out of the race. That elevates Martin Walsh. Tim Cox just trying to pull away from Alex Bomber Harris in second place. Both classes very, very well supported in this Mark II Golf GTI Championship. Championship coordinator John Hillen told me at the end of last season he felt it was largely because most of the drivers in the championship had their first kiss in a Volkswagen Golf, and that is why they've got the affinity with the car and why they keep coming and enjoying the racing. I think it's something more to do with just how much fun these cars are to drive, as now Harris comes under a little bit of pressure into the old hairpin with Paul Cowland on his tail. Cowland trying to put the pressure on. The yellow flags possibly stood out though, which is why he wasn't able to try and make the move on Harris. As into Goddard's for the final time, lights to flag, victory on the cards for Jamie Martin. It's been an emphatic performance in very, very difficult conditions. He accelerates out of the chicane, the checkered flag goes out, and it's the double victory at Donington Park to start the 2012 campaign in style for Jamie Martin. He takes the win, but what about Class 1. Into Gollards they tiptoe for the final time. I think, though, Tim Cox has just about done enough here, but they're going to flash across the line in sequence, so Cox wins the class from Harris. And just in third, Paul Callan pressurising Alex Harris on the line. Lively race throughout the field, and the drivers really doing very, very well just to make it to the flag in such difficult conditions, with Jamie Martin taking the win from Kevin Glover and Martin Walsh. Drivers quite rightly celebrating with the champagne on the podium.
Okay, so winner of Class 2, Jamie Martin.
Yeah, it was very slippery out there. Kev got a better start and managed to outbrake him into Redgate and gave me enough room, and then just a matter of getting the head down, finding where the grip was. Quite a few rivers running across the road around Craders with the cars aquaplaning, and it's really in these cars, because there's no ABS and the brakes are kind of over surveyed, you're literally just brushing the brake really gently just to stop it locking up, because if they lock it just sort of goes all over the place. So very pleased with that second win. And you know, but I think everyone's going to catch up. I think they're all going to find their feet. Wet and dry, you know, we've got a good setup for both, and it's thoroughly enjoyable racing, and we really enjoyed that. Only afterwards, I don't enjoy the bit while you're doing it. It's only in hindsight, but a lot of concentration to stay out in front of the 30 odd cars. Saw a few people off as well, and you know, try not to look at them and just carry on with it.
Well, Tim Cox, what a result! Congratulations there, fantastic win.
Absolutely, thanks a lot. My first win as well. What a win. The weather was atrocious. It was so difficult just to keep the car going in a straight line, aquaplaning in a lot of the track. I'm just so happy, ecstatic. I don't know what else to say, really.
I bet you are, but you seem to be an unstoppable force out there.
Absolutely, I had a good start. I mean, I started on pole, I think, or just next second. Had a good start, managed to avoid any carnage or anybody going off, and yeah, just drove my own race. Bottom of the guy came second. He overtook me once, and I got him again going into Redgate. Apart from that, yeah, I had a great race.
Well, what a weekend here at Donington Park. The weather has been absolutely relentless, but it has made for some very exciting racing. My name is Alexandra Le Gui. Thank you for joining us. Join us again soon for some more fantastic racing.